So it's another wonderful morning in Sekondi Takrady, and this is Sports 101. Hey guys, you're welcome to our live show this morning, every Saturday morning from 8:30 to 10 o'clock. We are live also on Taddy FM 99.1. Make sure you subscribe to Sports 101. We give you the best of sports content you can find on YouTube. Subscribe to Sports 101, like our videos. But this morning we are here with breakfast. We're having breakfast right now. And when we have breakfast, it's solely sports. We talk about
It's
football. We
solely
talk about
sports.
sports.
Yeah.
Percy, you're welcome.
Thank you.
How's
You.
been your weekend?
It's been a very stressful, tiring one, but Charlie, we move.
I could see, from your face, you look stressed, you look tired. Anyway, over the weekend, lots of things have happened.
Lots of
Lots of,
things.
but one of the interesting things that happened was an issue that actually has been gaining traction in the last couple of days. Jamie Carragher, he's a very controversial figure. He makes statements that a lot of people usually say that has this guy gone bonkers or not. So in the course of the week, he made a very controversial of a short statement, and I want us to look at that statement, putting all outside, looking at Jamie Carragher as a person and some of the comments he makes and why people don't like him. Let's look at the statement. So this is what Jamie Carragher tweeted, a couple of days ago. So this, I hope you're listening to me.
Yeah, I'm listening.
And guys, you can join in the discussion. So Jamie Carragher tweeted in the course of the week, and this is what he said. So he says, the Manchester United treble team did not influence European football. Those other teams or managers are still talked about today in terms of influencing the current generation of managers and tactics. What Jamie Carragher simply is trying to say is that if you look at that Manchester United treble winning team, in terms of they influencing generation of footballers, generation of managers, you would prefer to put other teams ahead of that Manchester United team. So he makes mention of the fact that teams like, you can mention teams like the Pep Guardiola's Barcelona. Do you get it? You can mention a team like the Arrigo Sacchi's team that have actually influenced
No,
football.
I want to know the teams that were actually mentioned.
So he's looking at so it was a compilation of tweets that he made. His first tweet, which we'll look at later, is where he talks about the era of football, that football has changed and all of that. But let's look at this particular statement. He says that the Manchester United treble team did not influence European football. And this is the caveat. So he says those other teams and managers, in terms of teams that have been dominant, winning the Champions League and all of that, in terms of that, they have actually had more influence on the current generation of managers, or some of the managers that we've seen currently, as well as tactics. I don't know if you get what he's trying to say.
He, first of
Then,
all,
then Gary Neville comes back to say, "You missed out, my friend." So the whole issue is he's looking at that Manchester United team. So the fact that they won the treble, yes, they won the treble, but there's nothing in terms of influencing generation of managers, generation of footballers, and there's nothing you can look at in terms of how the game was played tactically. Currently, he lists other managers that he looks at them and feels that they have actually influenced how the game is played. Yes, the Manchester United team won the treble, but there's, apart from the treble, there's really nothing post them to talk about. What do you make of that statement? I want you to start with that. The guys, if you're watching us, please engage us in the comment section. What do you make of Jamie Carragher's comment that the Manchester United the treble winning team did not really influence football in terms of influencing managers, influencing tactics? Yes, they won the treble, but post that, there's nothing really you can look at that team and say, okay, what we are seeing in football now, you can attribute that to that team. Literally, that's what he's saying. Is he right?
I,
Does he have a point there?
I would be probably saying some things that I don't know if Carragher hears himself.
That's what I'm saying. Let's not talk about the
No,
character
no, no,
or
no.
the
I don't want
personality.
to.
Let's look at the
I don't
issue
want to talk
itself.
about him. I don't want to talk about him.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about him. There is something that Roberto Baggio said that he doesn't talk about football and footballers right now.
Yeah.
Because there are some of the players that he would want to talk about that he sees that they have actually achieved and they've been relevant, more relevant. This is a Ballon d'Or winner, a World Cup, in fact, a world best player. So if he says this, I'm not going into, but it's sad. It's sad that standards have dropped, and especially the English media is giving, in quotes, non-entities in football, those people that only their clubs would probably acknowledge them, to make such frail statement. But first of all, whatever he said is not clear. He's jammed up about 3 or 4 things together. He talked about errors. I always say that, see, if you are talking about errors of teams that have actually dominated football, there are a few parameters that you can use. Parameter number 1 is that probably during that era of that team, that the team was dominant, they win multiple Champions League, minimum of 3. So I gave you the last time that the eras that we had, you had the Bayern era, they won 3 straight Champions League from 74 to 76. You talk about the Ajax era, 71 to 73. You talk about the Madrid era from, what do you call it, 1956 all the way to 1960. Let's even say 2, max a back-to-back, let 2. So Inter, you talk about 63 and 64. So every single team that you talk about, at least these teams have been dominant, winning multiple Champions Leagues. Then the other thing has to do with that they make unprecedented records. That is another thing that you can talk about this era. You can talk about the Arsenal's invincible, what they did. You can even talk about the Juve invincible of 2011, 2012. Although, of course, they were not that dominant in Europe. You can talk about the AC Milan team of 89 to 91. They were unbeaten and they also won back-to-back. You can... that is also, and another unprecedented era is like the Barca team of 08-09, they won a sextuple. The Barca team of 14-15, they won a quintuple. You can talk about the Bayern team of 2019-2020, they won a sextuple. So with these things, then you can talk about, okay, these teams have been able to also make unprecedented records.
Yeah.
Now, this thing that Jamie Carragher is talking about, he is talking about influence on the game. So probably the first thing that I have in mind is maybe a style of play. I would want to talk
Yeah,
about
because
that.
he looked.
Yes,
he
a
looked
style
at,
of play.
He talked about
Yes,
managers, current generation managers, and tactics.
I'm dwelling on that.
Yeah.
Style of play. Arrigo Sacchi, perfecto. He brought in something that the Italians themselves wanted to jab him money, because the Italians were still in the era of Helenio Herrera, still embracing the Catenaccio like never before. They won the 82 with the Catenaccio. In fact, when they even won, Vicero Pozzo won the World Cup in 34 and 38. They had a defensive system, but at least it was Helenio Herrera that brought the typical Catenaccio.
Yeah.
So all of this time, they were with the Catenaccio until Arrigo Sacchi came in 1987.
Are we still looking at the Carragher statement?
Carragher statement.
Yeah.
So when he came in, he took away something in the Italian team called the libero. The libero is like when you are playing volley. He is the constant person that doesn't switch. He doesn't serve. He is the one who defends. So in the Italian system of football, there is this one constant player.
What modern day football called the libero?
The libero, it's an Italian word, libero.
Yeah.
He is defending. When he came in, he actually took away the libero, brought in the Dutch trio who brought in Flamboyant in a what do you call it, Ruud Gullit and Van Basten and what's the name, the other player, the 3 of them.
Yeah.
So and the defenders of course were you had Baresi, but you had a lot of flamboyance in the football that they played.
Yeah.
In fact, he actually made false number 9 very dominant.
Yeah.
He started with this whole false number 9 thing.
That's true.
So the false number 9 is not now that we saw. So for him, the influence on football, you can say that he brought a change, something that Mancini decided to coin out in order to win the Euros in 2021.
Yeah.
That's Euros 2021.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about that, very good. Then he mentioned something like Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I want our listeners,
He actually did not mention Pep Guardiola's name. He only said that
the
this.
Barca team.
No, he actually did not mention any names team. He made a statement, but you could see he had something
Yes,
in mind.
yes,
so
yes.
he actually did not mention any. All
Okay.
he said is that Manchester United treble winning
Yes,
team.
so I'm just
did not
taking
influence.
I'm just taking three.
Yeah.
If you take the Barca team of
Yeah.
2008, 2009,
Yeah.
there was nothing new. That Pep Guardiola, I'm not downplaying his achievement. If it has to do with tiki taka, I always say that tiki taka was not even started in Spain. It wasn't something that was started in the Germans actually started tiki taka before they went to their German machine thing. Probably another they would also educate on that. Then his first number 9 wrote that he had to put Messi there and what do you call it, sack Ibrahimovic to play. Like I told you, it was Arrigo Sacchi that brought it. But the one thing that that team brought was that they were able to enforce these two. They were able to make it better in an era that was never seen. In fact, in a manner that was never seen before. They actually brought football to a level that they could possess with not much defending. They made football make it look like we don't need to defend. We just need to hold the ball, and that is enough. So at least since that time, you've had a lot of teams that have been able to also utilize. He talked about the 98, 99 team. See, the last time, it wasn't last week, we were talking about Ferguson and how he had put his teams in play. From 1992, that the Premier League started. Every 5 years, Ferguson changes the style of football. I'm just taking the style of football in 98, 99. 98, 99, just that season, Cantona had just retired. Dwight York had come in. So he came to play in with Andy Cole. If you take that 98, 98, it was the first time that you had a team winning the Champions League. And if you take the first 11 team, you had about 4 coming from the academy. So United, even before that, had gone almost, in fact, as of now, they've gone almost 50 years. Every single match day, they have a player from the academy. So winning that treble team that United actually brought in 98, 99. I am surprised Carragher did not talk about the fact that it was a team that was built on the foundation of academy. It was a team because pre that, Madrid had won the Champions League in 1998. Go and check the team that they won the Champions League with. Go and check the star-studded team with Petra Mijatovic and all of his cohort in that team. But then the Manchester United team of 90, if for nothing at all, it was a team that was built from a basis. It was built with a Beckham that started in 92 that had gone on loan at Preston North End and had come back. It was a team that was built with Giggs being the only person that had started. It was a team that had Scholes in it, that had Nicky Butt in it. So like I said, this is a team that was formed with academic players, which had been something that has influenced. So even if you are talking about this Barca team of 2009, before they won this Champions League 2008-2009 with the likes of Messi, the likes of Xavi, the likes of Iniesta, the likes of Busquets and Piqué, there was a team that had done this before. That has done it before and even with that one, it was the same class, the same year of players. So if Carragher is talking and he's saying that it has not had any effect on this current trend of football, I don't know if he never looked at the lineup and the progression of this team with this academy players over time. And after that,
Try and wrap up.
even after this, this whole issue that he's talked about, he said influence on the modern game. I don't know if
No, he actually says that in terms of the generation. Let me give you the quote again, Kofi. You know you've been listening to the conversation, right? And I've sorry, you've been following I've seen your tweet and other things. Let me get his statement. I I want us to dissect this issue devoid of our personal sentiment. Carragher is not somebody I like. I think sometimes he spews a lot of unguarded nonsense. But let's dissect the statement, whether there is substance in the statement or not. So this is what he said. All right. So it says that the Manchester United treble team did not influence European football. Then he actually adds that those other teams or managers are still talked about in terms of influencing the current generation of managers and tactics. So he actually didn't mention any manager in mind, but you could actually infer what he's talking about if you look at teams that have won the Champions League and you juxtapose that to the two major things he talked about, influencing managers and tactics. So you can pick the Real Madrid team. Is there substance in what he's saying? You can pick, so using the Manchester United team of 1998-99 that won the treble. So in terms of influencing managers and tactics, he believes that they really had no impact in that area on European football. Kofi, what do you have to say?
Well, sorry. First of all,
good morning too.
Good morning.
You're
Yes,
excited. The Lakers won.
yes.
The Lakers.
I'm excited. We'll
possibly,
we'll talk about the Lakers tomorrow. We'll
Extensively,
get,
yeah.
Extensively. We'll get to meet the Kings. We'll get to meet the Kings. I'm very sure about that. Every conversation has a generic root.
Yeah, exactly.
So what generated this conversation? Why the Manchester United treble team? And before I even go there, we must look at the character Carragher.
Is that really important? Because
it is. Hold on.
I feel
you constantly make that comment that we should make this analysis devoid of
sentiment and personality.
We
can put the person aside and look at what he said.
Carragher as a human being, as a pundit, as everything he stood for, has always made statements not devoid of sentiment.
That's him.
No, so how do we treat a character who always makes statements in the heat of the moment based on sentiment? So the question is simple. This is a Carragher who has a history.
Yeah.
I want us to look at the personality.
Not too long ago.
No, hold on. I'll address the issue. I'll address the issue. But there has to be
the substance of the conversation.
No, don't worry. I'll come to the substance of the conversation. The truth of the matter is that this is a Carragher Percy who too long ago came out to make some preposterous comments.
He said he can substitute Van Dijk.
We discussed that. We looked at
Same
that.
Same Carragher who said that Lisandro Martinez cannot be a top centre back in the EPL.
Yeah, he said that.
Same Carragher.
Yes.
Because it was about Manchester United.
And he actually compared Van Dijk to
same Carragher who compared Van Dijk to
it's far better.
So you think it's about
hold on.
His disdain or his hatred for United?
Exactly the point. I am glad that even before I've gone home,
I know this.
I'm glad that even before I've gone home, you are making that point.
Exactly.
So I am giving you.
I am giving aside.
No, hold on. I am giving you a docket of the character we are talking about. Same Carragher who told us not too long ago that Lisandro Martinez cannot be a top centre back in the EPL because he plays for Manchester United. Same Carragher who told us not too long ago that Van Dijk is a better defender than Vidic.
Far
better defender than Vidic. See,
address the issue.
I am addressing the issue.
Yes. Yeah, but Carragher is enough.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
When you follow the madmen on the streets, you are definitely going to have problems. There's a reason why the elderly have told us that when you are in the bathroom and the madman comes for your
just
car,
leave it for them.
Let him run with it. I think that this same scenario applies with Carragher.
I'm surprised he had traffic on Twitter.
In any case, yes. I mean, he just wants to generate a lot of traffic.
That's all.
Because there is no substance to this issue.
Why do you say that?
Is there any rule that seeks to suggest that any team that wins something must have any sort of influence on any team.
Definitely.
Exactly. Hold on. Yes. And number 2, those other teams he talks about, can you mention those other teams?
So
I see you mentioned Pep Guardiola's name in there. I'm telling you that this conversation was born out of the fact that when they were making a discussion.
Told Arrigo Sacchi, that Arrigo Milan team of 87 through to 1991, that team was
Arrigo Sacchi. What coaches did they produce?
Arrigo Sacchi,
yes, that team, which coaches did they produce?
Literally, the generation of modern. I'm coming. Ancelotti, and the generation of young Italian managers.
Yes, manager.
Mancini is a student of Arrigo Sacchi.
No, but he wasn't in the team.
No, I'm not talking
He was talking about the team, so I was just giving the team.
He's saying,
let's do this one after the
produce.
Yes.
Let's start with the coaches.
Coaches did they
so
produce?
The coaches, there was Ruud Gullit. There is Van Basten.
Good coach.
They produced Van Basten.
There's Van Basten. He actually retired after taking the Dutch team in 2010.
No, you see, Pex, I will allow you to go on. But we need to make this comment, because when I was coming, Kelocky kept hammering on the fact that generation of coaches, generation of players.
Because
I'm asking
Percy wasn't getting the question clearly.
Yes, I'm asking a simple question.
Because Carragher himself was not clear.
Yes, I'm asking a simple question. I'm asking a simple question.
Okay,
what generation of coaches did Arrigo Sacchi's team produce?
I mentioned about
an influence on Ancelotti is the only standout personality in there.
Let Kofi finish.
Then he talks about
Frank Rijkaard is there.
So he makes mention. He makes mention of
Champions League.
He makes mention of tactics as well.
Tactics. Yeah. With tactics. No, maybe you can help me, because you kept hammering on that point. I want to invite you into the conversation with tactics.
I want you to be done before I can come in.
No.
I want you to.
Let me come in.
Bring in that conversation.
You see, I would not want to murky the conversation, but listen, if we are talking about managers, and Percy went there perfectly, read about Italian football and the influence of Arrigo Sacchi in redefining how the game is played in Italy. Percy went there. Let me add a little to it. Before Arrigo Sacchi came, all Italian football knew was defend so well, counter-attack.
That's all.
What did he do?
And he made mention of the word libero. What in English they coined the word libero. You know who a libero is?
Come on.
You know who a libero?
You know who the libero came from? You know who perfected that act?
You see, it's not about who perfected it, the one that defined it. And Percy went there. And if you were listening to...
You know Bakimba?
I'm coming. Please.
He's the ultimate libero.
I'm coming.
He's even German.
No, you see, I am coming. What Percy was saying, and which I agree, and read about. I'm not going to even, like I said, make it a concept, because you are not done making your point. But if you are talking about managers who have changed the Italian game,
I'm talking about tactics. Don't
yes,
deviate.
that's it.
Yes, I'm talking about tactics. Which tactics did he revolutionize?
That AC Milan team of
87 to
91, where I had seen a lot of Italian teams, but they were the most stylish and more or less like the modern game we are seeing now. They were that team that played that game. No. What we are talking about pressing. Arrigo Sacchi was the one that introduced that high inbox pressing. Let me give you a quote. I'll give you a quote by one of the players in that team. And I think it will even make our conversation very interesting.
No, a quote by a player in that team wouldn't make our conversation complete. Because I can give you a quote from players from other generations. I can give you quotes from the players from Fergie's 1990. That would virtually endorse everything that he did.
Let me get you a quote. Then I'll get you the name. So this is what we say. It says, what made Sacchi so good was that is an article that was written by Sky Sports. That's actually not a player. A player who said it. It's an article they did.
Opinion.
It's an article they did Sky Sports.
Somebody's
so
opinion.
You can verify.
Yes.
Oh, you don't tell me.
The player is actually called Manari. He was one of the few players who was actually recognized.
What made Sacchi so good was that he showed us how to do it, how to play the game in a particular way that many managers had not seen in Italy. He showed us how to play the right way, the right timing. If you just run yourself, then you are a piggy in the middle. Now he goes on to say, the innovation of the high pressing in the box, this was his innovation, organized pressing. He's talking about tactics. At the time, Nobody did it in Italian football. I don't remember playing in all my years playing Italian football. Nobody did it. I don't remember playing against anyone that was as organized and pressed in the box and in an organized manner as us. So he's speaking to tactics.
So therein lies the truth. Nobody did it in Italian football. So how do you tell me he influenced the European game? So it means, invariably, from the comment that you have made, that he adopted this model from elsewhere.
The high
Unless I do not understand.
So
this guy was talking about the fact that high press deployed in Italian football. It didn't mean that it didn't exist in Europe. It didn't mean that it didn't exist elsewhere in the world. Because he said, and pay your own comment.
Yeah.
He said that at that time, nothing like that existed in Italian football.
Exactly.
It means that time, some of those models existed elsewhere in Europe. So if you tell me that he changed the European game, I'm asking you.
He changed the Italian game, of course.
No, if you say he changed the Italian game, that is beside the point, because we are
That's
not talking.
actually a point.
That's not what Carragher said.
No, you see,
He was talking
Carragher
about the influence on the general.
And I'm asking you one more question. What is the influence of Sarri's tactics on today's game?
He actually brought the false number 9 that was used by Guardiola.
That's what I'm saying. If you were listening to Percy's comment,
brought the false
he
number 9.
defined the false number 9.
Let's get it clear.
Let me explain.
I don't want to come in.
Yeah,
let me explain.
Yeah, explain.
Let me explain. He was playing a 4-4-2 system.
That's true.
There was Van Basten who was there. Then there was Ruud Gullit, who was also there. Frank Rijkaard was
in the midfield.
Yes, was in the midfield.
Yeah.
He actually defined because whenever Van Basten went to the Dutch national team, he played as the number 9. But when he came with the 4-4-2 system, there wasn't really a defined number 9 who was standing there.
Come on.
Coming.
It had never been seen in European football.
It is that if you listen to Guardiola,
It had never
if you
been
realize
seen in
that
European
you realize
football.
that the false number 9 that was being used by Guardiola in 2009 was actually something he coined from the Arrigo Sacchi team.
But
Let me add, Percy, let me add it to it. I
Explanation,
listened to
yes.
Marcelo Bielsa. Marcelo Bielsa actually says that he learned that role
Of course.
from Arrigo Sacchi.
In fact, let
learned
me
which
just
role?
Tell me
add
that
one more
this
thing.
man has not
Which
influenced the game.
He
The
learned
false
which
number
role?
9 that Pep Guardiola literally
The false number 9.
As a false
no,
number 9.
No.
he learned how to use that role from Arrigo Sacchi.
No,
And
you see,
Sophie, apart from that, just to add this thing,
exactly.
when they were pressing, see, there are a lot of things he's done that when they were pressing, there was never a time that the attack and their defense was more than 25 meters. Never. It is the same thing that Bielsa uses now.
Thank you.
That is why when he's playing, you score him 5, he scores 6. Atlanta's team, the
Thank
team.
you, Gasperini.
Gasperini also uses what Arrigo Sacchi uses.
No, I don't
the
get
defenders
point.
are
No, you are saying two different things.
No, we are not.
No, hold on.
You finish
are
your point.
talking about
You
the false
finish your
number
point.
9. You're talking about when they are pressing, they are not 25 meters
But
apart.
that's
I mean,
tactics.
fine. No, hold on.
Yeah.
How do you play a 4-4-2 and tell me there's a false number 9? How?
Yes,
How?
that was
How?
it. That was exactly it.
Especially, it does not make sense.
That was it.
Exactly. So,
That was exactly what he
that
brought.
he's
let me move
defined
on.
the game.
No, I think that all of these are like myths, like theories. I mean, like dragons, like unicorns. You
Wrap
understand?
up.
No, I think that
Wrap up.
you guys are constantly being fed with all of these tales and like storybooks. You choose to allow it to stick somewhere in your brain. I think that if you analyze some of these things that are being put out there, it doesn't make sense. I mean, how do you tell me you play a 4-4-2 and you play a false 9?
That should
Yes.
tell you. That should tell you
How do you
how
do that?
The Real Madrid team of
how do you do that?
1956, they played 4 attackers.
Guardiola
with
Guardiola
3
and
defenders.
Barcelona played a 4-4-2 in a false number 9.
Well,
Guardiola and Barcelona, and he adopted it from Arrigo Sacchi.
well, I
Even
think
Real
that-
Madrid team
well,
played
I
a
think-
3-3-4
well,
with
I
4
false
attackers.
number 9.
Well, I think all of these are coinages.
So
I mean,
finally,
but
yeah.
to move on,
Yeah,
to move on.
Carragher's statement. You've
think
already
he's-
said that there's no import
I
to
think
it.
he spoke a lot of nonsense.
Okay.
I mean, listen. I mean, if you are talking about the influence on European football,
Yeah.
I can tell you that Zidane played the same way Manchester United played.
The 4-4-2, yeah, with Bale and
I
Ronaldo.
can tell you
up front,
that Zidane, for the 3 consecutive times that he won the Champions League.
I think I concur with you.
A record that has not been done anywhere in the world.
So
hold on. There is no greater record in European football more than what Zidane did.
No.
And Zidane ripped that model out of Manchester United's 99 treble winning team. Watch that Real Madrid team. They use the Cavalier approach. They call the Northern Cavalry. The all play all. You understand? All defend, all attack.
And
that's what Manchester United did.
That's what he adopted it from Manchester United.
Oh yes, obviously he adopted it from the Manchester United team.
I mean, there's adoption everywhere.
You understand? I mean, because you are talking about influence.
Before I give my 2-minute take, guys, what do you make of the statement made by Carragher? So Carragher is saying that again. I always want to make things clear because sometimes you know. When somebody makes a statement, we always want to look at the person before you address the statement. Let's put Carragher aside and let's see if there's an import to what he's saying. What he's saying is that if you look at the Manchester United treble winning team, yes, they won the treble, but they've not really had an impact on the game in terms of the European football game, in terms of managers' production and even tactics. Yes, they won the treble, but aside that, there's really nothing post that you can look at and say this is a copy of what we are seeing now. Is a copy of that team.
Well, just a
what do you make of it before?
Quick one.
You've been talking, so I've not even spoken.
Yes, I mean, that's fine. You made all of the introductory comments and all of those other things. I mean, let's come to
quick
Pep's,
one.
Pep's Barcelona team.
Quick one. 60
Influence
seconds.
on European football. Influence on coaches today. Pep's Barcelona.
There was nothing new that he brought.
Influence on it.
I would always say that there is nothing new.
So why did Carragher mention his name there?
Carragher did not mention Pep Guardiola.
He mentioned the other teams. I mean, we all know inferences.
No, Pep Carragher did not.
No, he mentioned
Carragher did not mention.
That Barca team won the sextuple.
Yes,
I mean, he won the sextuple.
Hansi Flick won the sextuple.
Carragher did not mention anything.
I am bringing in the Pep Guardiola Barca team.
Okay.
He did not mention them.
I
think that they belong in that conversation.
Of course.
So I am asking that Pep Guardiola team, what influence does they have on this generation of players?
Oh.
What influence did they have?
Oh,
Boyan Kekic?
Let me. Are you done?
Or Christian Theo?
Are you done?
Who?
Are you done?
What influence did they have on this generation of coaches?
Are you done?
I want you to answer the coaches.
I'm not going to answer.
It's not.
I realized that. You. I'm not. Finish with your submission.
I'm done.
You're done. Okay. So before I quickly go and read the comment, now I will not even spend 5 minutes on this, and I'll just pick the statement he made in relation to the teams that he spoke about. He spoke about that Manchester United treble winning team. And truth be told, I've not liked some of the statement that most of the statement that Carragher has made, because most of them, for me, they do not really have an import.
You're patronizing us.
But truth be told,
you're trying to patronize
truth be told,
us.
if you critically analyze the statement, there is some level of substance in it. Why do I say so? He spoke about influence on managers and tactics. Anybody, unless the person wants to be petty, anybody who knows football, anybody who has loved football if you want to mention managers who have had influence on European football and they dominating and winning, you cannot neglect Arrigo Sacchi. You can. I mean, it will be preposterous for anybody.
Can anybody neglect Alex Ferguson?
To downplay. I'm coming. To downplay. It will be preposterous. You don't interrupt me. It will be preposterous. It will be preposterous for anybody.
I just want to know how it will end.
It will be preposterous for anybody to downplay.
Can anybody downplay
the
Ferguson?
Influence?
Can anybody downplay the influence of Ferguson?
In terms of tactics?
Of course.
And managers.
Of course, Ferguson.
But you see, let me take you on.
He's the ultimate deity when it comes to that.
What makes a manager?
I mean, you guys are
a manager is made by his tactics and
I'm so surprised.
So if you tell me,
he's the ultimate top dog when it comes to this.
If you tell me that Arrigo Sacchi, you speak lyrically about
whatever Arrigo Sacchi did, it was just a 4-year thing. 4 years.
What makes a manager? A manager is made by his tactics.
Can I make my point?
What are you saying?
You can.
make my point?
You can. You have a minute.
Please,
Are you
can
done?
finish.
Yes, you have a minute.
Are you done? Can I
Yeah,
make my
we
point?
are.
Don't
Go
walk
ahead.
that part.
So what I'm saying here is everybody knows that Kofi's, just like Kofi says that Carragher's statement is born out of his disdain for United, the same way we know Kofi's statement is born out of his disdain for Carragher. Just like
No, he's
you
talking
feel.
about Arrigo
I'm
Sacchi.
coming. No, just like you feel. Percy, just like he feels.
Kofi doesn't know Arrigo Sacchi.
No, just like he feels. No, that's what I'm saying. Maybe you're not getting what I'm
Okay.
saying. Just like Kofi feels that Carragher's comments are nonsense and they are unguarded nonsense and they don't make sense. That statement is born out of the fact that he doesn't like the person. The same way he feels that Carragher does not like Manchester United, and so that statement is literally hogwash. What I am saying is, what Carragher is saying is that, listen, post that team that won the treble for Manchester United, what can somebody pick about that team and say that if you look at the current generation of football, we can attribute that to that team? That is what he's saying, that if you look at football now, football from 2020, hey, when did they win it? 99, right? From 2000 to 2023 now, you can look at some few managers, some few games, some few tactics and say that we can attribute that to the United treble winning team. Yes, they won the treble. Nobody's taking that away from them. But I can categorically tell you that, like everybody has agreed, post Arrigo Sacchi, you can look at the things that have happened in Italian football and say this is as a result of Arrigo Sacchi. Yes, he didn't introduce it, but we are talking, most of the things we see now, they have been introduced before. But you see, anybody who would want to be fair would say that the Pep Guardiola team of 2008, let me finish. The Pep Guardiola team of 2008 to 2011 defined football in a way they may have picked it from somebody, but there are a lot of evidences. You look at somebody, a lot of managers. Recently, Spalletti of Napoli, in the Champions League game against AC Milan, the second round, during the press conference, they asked him where he got his football philosophy from. Before he spoke, this is what he did. He says, I cannot talk about Pep Guardiola sitting down. Go and check that video. He got up.
Who is Spalletti?
Spalletti,
Of
the
Napoli.
the guy who bottled it against
Spalletti of
this
Napoli.
AC Milan team.
He got up.
The guy who
I'm trying to
bottled
quick-
it
he got
against
up
AC
and says
Milan.
that.
I'm so
In the
surprised.
Champions League.
He got up and
Is
says
that your
that.
preference?
He got up and said that I cannot talk about football now without giving prominence to Pep Guardiola. Listen, you can hate the man for all you want, but truth be told, the guy has had some level of influence on modern day managers. Listen to the modern day managers. Look at how you sat here. Kofi sat in the studio with us on a Sunday show and says that the Manchester City team now, if you look at how they play, they are the SI unit for how the game should be played.
No,
Is
I
that
never
not
said that.
influence?
No, I
So
never
my
said
point
that.
is,
I never said
my
that.
point is,
If you
in
are trying to
conclusion,
He never said that.
Don't misquote me.
in conclusion,
He
no,
said-
I shouldn't
he
misquote
said-
you.
patronizing
Let
me.
me
So
conclude.
misquote
Then you
me.
can say whatever you want to
No,
say. In
no.
conclusion, for me,
I never
I think
said
that,
that.
let's not look at. Nobody says Jurgen Klopp is the definition of genuine pressing, but you and I will understand. In Liverpool's
scandalous.
history, any Liverpool fan will tell you that the word gegenpressing, Jurgen Klopp did not bring Gegenpressing, you know that. But when it comes to the history of Liverpool and on their run to winning the Champions League, they attribute that to gegenpressing and how Jurgen Klopp defined their style of play. So you can say that in the history of Liverpool and their influence on the English game, European game, you can talk about. Everybody sits here and talks about Ralf Rangnick as being the mentor of who? Jurgen Klopp, Julian Nagelsmann, Tuchel. Yet this man may not. A lot of people, even before Ralf Rangnick became Manchester United manager, that serial caller, even before he became Manchester, a lot of people did not know him. But how he defined the game in terms of his understanding of the pressing game. But did he invent it? No, he didn't invent it. But you and I, Kofi, we will all agree that students he has produced have remodeled that game. Tactics evolve over years. Like you said, you sat here and talk. Pep Guardiola did not bring the false nine, but you can tell that no, this guy's game is being modeled around somebody who has brought it. There's nothing new under the sun. Julian Nagelsmann and all these managers are students of Ralf Rangnick.
Well,
What are you
you
talking
talk
about?
about Spalletti.
So Spalletti is
And
not a
then
good
you
coach.
speak about Spalletti saying that he cannot speak about the game of football without talking about Pep Guardiola.
Do you know Eddie Howe?
Hold on.
In a statement, I said
hold
Eddie
on.
Howe says that
Lucky, you were on
Pep
the
Guardiola
floor-
is his
you were
model.
on the
Well,
floor for 6-7
Oh,
minutes.
come on.
Nobody
The
talked.
two of you have
understand?
spoken.
No.
Let quickly,
You were on the
60
floor for
seconds,
6,
60
7
seconds, so that we
minutes.
can wrap up and go on.
Allow me to make this
No,
point.
60
And
seconds,
I
60
think that
seconds.
it's fair that I make this point.
Yeah, finish, 60 seconds.
Listen, you speak about Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
That Spalletti says that he cannot speak about the game without Pep Guardiola in a Champions League game. In the last decade,
Yeah.
Pep Guardiola has been absolutely irrelevant on the biggest stage in Europe.
Nobody's talking about Champions
Great.
League. Nobody's
What
talking. He
makes
didn't
a
mention
coach? No,
Champions League.
hold on. What makes a coach?
He didn't mention
Tactics.
Champions League. Yeah.
You speak profoundly about everything that Pep Guardiola did with that Barcelona team, blah, 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 blah. Why is he not able to replicate that level of dominance with this City team? A team that he has spent more money building than any team in the history of football.
That's not true.
No.
That's not true.
In the history of football,
That's
no
for that,
team has been put together that is more expensive than this Pep Guardiola
there is no
City
team.
team. You understand? And you speak profoundly about the fact that he's tactically good, he's tactically
Pep
savvy.
Guardiola is not tactically
I am
good.
saying that we have established that ground rule. The tactics makes a manager.
Yeah.
So if a manager is inborn with those tactics, if you change the dynamics, he should be able to replicate those tactics with the different dynamics. I'll tell you why. You know that Alex Ferguson,
Yeah.
before he coached Manchester United, he coached Aberdeen.
Aberdeen.
He was that one manager who broke that dominance of Rangers and Celtic.
Yeah.
And then beat Real Madrid in an European final with that Aberdeen team.
So what Carragher is saying is
Hold
that...
on.
Let's explain the statement.
I don't
You
know
can-
why.
No,
can
you
say
spoke.
it
You
all
spoke.
about-
You spoke so much about the tactics of Guardiola. You talked about Anglo-Saxon
influence.
without talking about that of Ferguson. You didn't.
What influence has Ferguson had on the modern game in terms of tactics?
I'll tell you why.
Confused that.
You speak of tactics, and I'm telling you that why is it that Pep Guardiola cannot repeat those same tactics with this City team on the grandest of stages?
Is that
What has
something?
gone amiss?
Is that finish your statement?
What has gone amiss? I've seen Pep Guardiola's team against Monaco. I've seen them against Tottenham, who never spent a dime on the transfer market. I've seen them against inferior teams. So you speak highly about this. That's why I said that all of these things are myths in storybooks that you choose to believe. Because we are talking about the man who has done it. You tell me that he is inborn with those tactics. Why
I never
can
even
he
use the word
not
inborn.
replicate those tactics with this team that is the most expensive assembly in the history of football? Where has the tactics gone to? If this guy is the ultimate master when it comes to tactics influence, in any case, Percy spoke about that influence of that Manchester United team, but it looks like you weren't listening.
Influence on what?
That Manchester United team that won the Champions League and the treble, it had fingerprints of academy players all across.
I said there has never been a time.
Don't speak. I'll finish right now.
In a way,
I'll finish.
I asked when you talk about
I
academy.
am saying that if you
Which
go
team-
back,
It's
if
not
you
the
go
same.
back
Which
and
team-
watch
It's
that
not the
Pep
same.
Guardiola team that dominated Europe, it took a model out of that Manchester United team.
Exactly.
La Masia,
Stop
straight
it.
out of
Stop
Carrington.
it. The fact that somebody. So can we say that?
I think the person needs to
Percy,
go on, and
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask a question. That's why we conclude on this. I think we've spent so much on this. You talk about the fact that he built an academy team. Was he the first manager to build an academy team?
You didn't listen.
I'm
No,
coming.
you didn't
I'm coming.
listen to me well.
The Ajax team that dominated European football post Manchester United winning that '98 trophy. Pre that. Were they not that? Ajax have always built a team from the academy. So can we also say that Pep, what is it called? Sir Alex Ferguson adopted the module from Ajax?
No, you listen. I told you that. No. I told you something. That
60 seconds.
Manchester United
Yeah.
have done two things which are unprecedented.
Yeah.
I said almost 60 years, every single match day has an academy player as part of the squad.
How-
I'm coming.
Okay.
98, 99. It wasn't academy players of different generations. I said one single year,
92.
1992.
Yeah.
There was Scholes, there was Gary Neville,
Nicky
there
Butt.
was Nicky Butt, there was David Beckham.
Let me
Ryan
ask a
Giggs.
question.
There
So
were-
I've seen somebody has said, I think it can help you conclude in your this. You see, I think that let's put this thing. So the person was actually saying that, listen, we are not talking about best managers here, and he's not
Nobody's
talking
talking
about
about
yeah.
best
So
managers.
he's talking about influence in
No,
terms of
Nobody talks
post
about no. But
post
why are
that.
you
That was
referring
what
that comment?
that was
nobody
exactly
talk
what I'm
about
telling
best
you.
So
manager.
post that. Can you look at something about that team and say that okay, whatever we are seeing now is as a result of what that team did? That is what he's saying.
And
So finish up.
exactly that. After Ferguson won that Champions League with these 5 players,
Yeah.
do you know how many teams who have won the Champions League with academy?
So they adopted that for Manchester United. Okay, is that a question I'm
Lucky.
asking?
Don't ask me rhetoric questions. I was telling you that. Listen.
No, based on the statement, yes,
No.
it's when they adopted
What I
that from
what I
Manchester
what I am
United.
trying to tell you is that adoption of this model of
Let's
trying
wrap up.
to,
Wow.
because if you are talking about this Ajax team,
Yeah.
Ajax and the Bayern team that actually won 3 straight, those times we were not in the era of buying big in what you call in teams. I think this one we need a better education in it.
Anyway, so wrap up
So
quickly.
in my wrap up, you see,
You think the statement is hogwash?
we shouldn't be spending so much time on it. I don't even know why we are doing that.
Is he?
No,
Messi
no,
is
no,
the
no,
same
no, no, no.
person who believes that yes, in a way, it's true because
No,
he
what
spoke
I am trying to say
he
is that
works lyrically about
he
Arrigo
should-
Sacchi
he-
and
no.
all of that. Hey, Messi.
We got a cue with the education of what Arrigo Sacchi had done.
Okay, so Kofi, hogwash.
The verdict is out there.
The verdict is out there. Okay, let me take some comments. So, Jamie is getting a lot, a lot of stick for his personality than what he said. He was spot on. I personally think that I agree with that. Then Joshua Pa spot on. There is nothing wrong with what Kara said. Remove his personality from it. I think that is true. A lot of us are looking at Carragher. You says Carragher doesn't like United. That's why he said that statement. The same way you don't like Carragher, so that's why you're making a statement. So he does not hate United anyway. It was the same Kara who said Ole was a rubbish coach. That's true. He doesn't hate United. So he actually concurred. So Kofi Asiedu is giving Carragher stick for being an emotional and sentimental analyst. See Kuntu calling that the same black. Okay, that's from lyrics, our own lyrics. So if it is against United, Kofi will never see any logic in it. So Samuel Redu says that every day, hold on, Kofi Pa. The guys are loving the show. Fergie is not the ultimate when it comes to tactics, no. And I think that that's a question that actually saw this somewhere, a post made by one of the writers at the Athletic. They're actually looking at modern day managers, and you look at tactics, and they listed 10 managers, and Fergie's name was not in there. Maybe we could look at that, and I think that's a very serious, important issue. Yes, Fergie did a lot, but somebody's even adding somebody like Arsene Wenger. And I think that if you look at Arsene Wenger's influence on the English game, in a way you can argue Arsene Wenger in there. Okay, let me take this call. What was Fergie's influence on tactics? United's treble winning team did not influence any coach in the current game. No, and I think that that's what Carragher is looking at.
No,
okay,
that's why I don't get it.
So
Who
what is
made-
Lucky
no,
saying?
hold on.
So
Lucky,
we don't know
Lucky,
football because we
Lucky.
don't agree. That's
Lucky.
1850 football with no rules. Charlie, 1850, who said there were no rules? Charlie, those were the times that tactics were invented.
No, but I don't
If
get
our
you.
historian
if
can
you tell
you
me that,
So,
tactics. Who brought on Sheringham and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
let me wrap up. So
If that's not tactics, what is tactics?
Let me finish with the
Who brought
comment.
on Sheringham and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
Let me finish with the
Making
comment.
changes is not tactics. You guys must be kidding me.
Lyrics come back. You see, we all know Fergie won a lot of trophies, but he's never remembered for the football revolution more than Wenger. Shadow, please allow my old man enjoy his new role in peace. Don't drag him here. Kofi Awoni, nobody is talking about best managers. It is the influence on the game, and I think there's lots of comments. Charlie, guys, thank you so much for tuning in this morning. So let me take this one. There is nothing about the United treble winning team that any team is adopting currently. Nobody has been able to say anything from that era. Good morning, guys. I just joined and I'm really loving the conversation. Keep up the good work. I'm trying to save the comments. So, okay, guys. So this is what our viewers think, and the verdict is out there. For us, we just came to introduce the topic. The verdict, what do you think? is Carragher making sense? He believes that the United treble winning team did not really influence the game in terms of tactics and managers.
Seriously, I'm surprised this whole morning is all about Carragher. It's like
Yeah,
he has free data.
exactly.
He has
I
free data.
I love him
and
for that.
he has free data and he has a key part. So.
But let me add that we are shooting live from Noble House, an amazing place. If you are in Takra, the Noble House is just located opposite, I think House 2, yes, on the Beach Road roundabout. And we are also live on Tadi FM 99.1. So tune in to Tadi FM if you are nowhere close to an internet. But if you are close to an internet, join us live. Like our videos, share, come with your comment and super stickers for our guys watching us from the diaspora and those who can give us super stickers. We appreciate that so much. Bessie,
Yeah, like I
Carragher.
was saying, he has free data. Probably,
Yeah.
he has access to that thing, and he made this preposterous.
So he's made another statement.
But this one I don't think it's so preposterous.
Okay.
He said that if Manchester City win the treble,
Yeah.
they win the treble
Yeah.
or Champions League, will this era of, I don't know, it's just rhetoric.
Okay.
Will this era of success for Pep mean his team joined the great teams who changed the game? And this time he actually brings the teams: Sachi Milan, Cruyff Barcelona, Pep Barcelona, Pep Manchester City. And for this, I would want to give my verdict, and I will leave it for the two of you to.
But I don't get his statement. So he made another statement after he made this.
Yes, he
What
said
did say?
that if Manchester City win
Okay, if they win this trophy,
the treble or Champions League,
Okay,
that's one
okay,
Champions League.
okay.
Will this era of success
Okay.
for Pep
Okay.
mean his team joined the great teams who changed the game?
Okay, so this particular Manchester team joins
Yes.
he feels certain
And
great
he said
teams.
the
Okay,
the
I get
teams
it.
he brought
Yeah, I get it.
were Sachi Milan,
Yeah.
Cruyff Barcelona,
Yeah.
Pep Barcelona,
Yeah.
Pep Manchester. Before I continue,
Okay.
Cruyff Barca crossed out. I don't even want to see them there. There has never been a team who has won a Champions League, gone to the Champions League the next season. In fact, not even gone the champ. There has never been a team who has been in the Champions League and has lost a 4-goal margin, 4-0. It's never happened. Whoa. That one alone, I don't even want to talk about it. And the very fact that you win one Champions League does not mean you've built an empire. We don't build an empire with one team. So that is why I was saying that I don't know if he has free data anymore. Just type in. Barcelona is the only team that has built a so-called or a somewhat empire without winning the back-to-back Champions League. For that, I would always stick by it. Madrid has done it twice. Ajax has done it. Barca has done it. Liverpool has done it. Inter has done it. AC has done it. We can say that Manchester United is not a cathedral. We can put them aside. Save these teams. Every team that has won 4 and over has won it back to back. So I don't even want to. So with these teams he's talked about, he said great teams. Okay, Sachi Milan, not bad. Cruyff Barca, I said it's out. Pep Barcelona and Pep Manchester City. First of all, he said if City win treble fine, but to win the Champions League, great. Then we can talk about Chelsea.
Yeah.
You can talk about FC Porto. We can talk about Feyenoord, PSV Eindhoven, Steaua Bucharesti. We can talk about Red Star Belgrade. We can add them to the great eras. So if he's talking about great eras and if it is the treble, which I actually I doubt though, of course, one is in the bag already, which I know. FA Cup is not.
They've not won any trophy.
And
yet,
I'm saying that one is.
because the Carabao Cup has been won by.
No, we
Manchester
don't add
United.
Carabao Cup.
You feel the league.
Oh, the league is in the bag.
Okay.
The league is in the bag. This we don't. See.
By Arsenal guys, we are not giving up hope.
No, we don't argue about this. We don't talk. There's not something. Yes, you don't waste your time to hope. See, there is something you don't hope in oblivion. There's not something that we have to talk about.
Arsenal.
For FA Cup, I'm surprised. Maybe he's talking about treble already because you are meeting a team that has gone to the final record times with Arsenal and has won more than twice what you've won.
My Manchester United fans, they don't play with them.
So I'm not talking. I told you I'm with Al Nassr. I've already told you. Yes, we won 4-0 during the weekend. Yes. Yes.
My United fans,
We
don't joke with them, cry.
So if it is a treble, you can put them in the grade because it's something that is already unprecedented. Even the great Liverpool has not been able to do it.
Yeah.
For everything they've done. They've won the league 4 times, which is unprecedented. To win the treble, they said they've won their own treble. If they've won it was an Europa League, an FA Cup, and a Carabao Cup. That is their treble. But to win a treble, I wouldn't really argue out with him because to win a treble is unprecedented. But like I said, to me, I'll start with you, Lucky. To me, the list he gave, I cross Barcelona. I crossed them out. They were not an era. They were not a dominant force.
But I think that the emphasis on the statement is not necessarily about.
Yes.
It's about Man City and they winning the treble.
Yes,
so
but he gave a list, so probably you can put the list aside.
So, I mean, I'll put the list
because
aside. I'll look at the
yes,
contest.
He said that if they win the league, the Champions League, or a treble, which for me, winning the Champions League does not put you as part of the grade because we've had a lot of teams winning the Champions League. We've even had Celtic winning the Champions League against the great Benfica.
Porto did it, but that team, you don't consider them as one of the greatest teams.
I told you Steaua Bucharest. People are not even aware Steaua Bucharest has won the rest. Steaua Belgrade won it after Yugoslavia was disbanded. They won it in a war-torn team.
Yeah.
Even they are not even considered as the great. So, is this another statement that needs... I was coming to mention a drag.
You guys are being unfair to Carragher.
Is it a statement that actually has substance in it?
So Carragher says, if City win the treble or the Champions League, will this era of success for Pep mean his team joined the great teams who have changed the game? Again, he's making a conditional statement predicated upon if it happens. So let's look at if it happens.
Yeah, it's an if clause.
So not it won't happen. So
no.
So if it happens.
Yeah.
Where I agree with you is the fact that you do not win one Champions League. Yes, this Manchester City team, should be told, if you look at most of the teams around Europe currently, they are arguably playing one of the best footballs in Europe. They are one of the strongest teams in Europe. The fact that if they go on to win the Champions League, I would not put them in the category of the greatest team, in the era of the modern game with one Champions League. No, I would wish that this team probably... They may even go on to win it if they lose it next year, but the following they go ahead to win it and establish a certain level of consistency at the semi-final, final, winning it 2-3 times, then we can put them there. But I think that if they win the treble, truth be told, if they win the treble, that also, I agree with you, Percy, because not so many teams have been able to win
Celtic,
the treble. Listen,
Barca.
You can say look at even
Bayern.
Modern day Real Madrid.
Not modern day.
I mean,
Real Madrid has never.
Even
ever.
with I want to use modern day because
no. You can
in the
start
80s,
from
in the 70s, a lot of people don't even know. So those who have come to know Real Madrid from the 90s up till now, with their dominance in the Champions League and in the league, they've never won the treble. So it means that the treble is a very to win 3 major trophies. Ajax has done it. Barcelona has done it twice. Under Luis Enrique, somebody says House of Folk, but let's put that.
Celtic has done it.
Celtic has done. Manchester United have done it. Bayern Munich have done it.
Yeah.
There a certain
Inter Milan has done it.
Inter Milan have done it. So there's certain cathedral of teams that have been able to do. So for me, I agree. But if he wins only the Champions League, I think that's it. But the fact that he brought in the treble, because truth be told, if City are able to go on to win the league, if City are able to go on to win the FA Cup, if City are able to go on to win the Champions League, I think that they belong in a conversation of the Milan Arrigo Sacchi team, that Barcelona team of 2000.
They didn't even win the treble.
Exactly, that Barcelona team of 2008 to 2011. They belong in the category of great teams because it's not easy to win the treble.
Before you continue, is Celtic a great team in the...
Which Celtic era?
I said Celtic, not era. It's Celtic. A great team in this conversation because the
Celtic entity
have won only one Champions League and they won it with a treble.
I will not put them in there.
So why would you put City there if they win a treble?
Because
let me ask you.
Okay.
Celtic, he is saying that if City wins the treble, he will put them in the pantheon of great teams. But Celtic won the Champions League with a treble. In fact, if it comes to their league, they've won their league about 4 times more than City have won their league. City have won their league only 6 or 7 times. So why would he say, or why would someone say that Celtic wins the Champions League once with a treble, and City wins, and they are not in the pantheon of one of the greatest, but then City wins it one with a treble, and we have to put them in a palanquin and place some etumpan behind them.
Well, you see why I think that Carragher has a big problem. No, if I say it, people will think that I have a problem with, and I'm shocked that's Lucky. I'm shocked that Lucky because
Percy made the same statement. Why me?
Lucky because Carragher made a definite comment. Now you're trying to recoin everything that Carragher said. Let me read what Carragher tweeted. He said, "If City win the treble,
yes,
or the Champions League."
Yes.
So he's not talking about City just winning the treble.
That's what I said.
So he has given us 2 variables.
My first parameter is if he wins just the champion, me, I will not bow. So
you agree that there's something wrong with Carragher?
The first one, because I agree that the statement.
He said there's something wrong with Carragher.
I do not agree that there's something wrong with the person of Carragher, but I agree that if City just wins the Champions League,
there's something wrong with the things he says.
Some of the things he says,
especially this one.
This one, if City win just the Champions League, I'll not put them in there. But the other, I agree.
Let me finish.
You
about the fact that his team joined the great teams who have changed the game. Therein lies my problem. Subjectivity.
So this City team will not change the game.
No, what has this City team done?
What have they changed?
To change the game? Do you understand? What has this City team done to change the game?
Maybe you can ask Percy.
Yes, Percy can.
But can I also
maybe
respond?
winning the league with 100 points? It's not okay for their league. They've won the league with 100 points.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Has there been a team that has spent 400 million pounds on lateral defenders, not defenders, lateral defenders, number 2s and number 3s?
They actually bought a first keeper and said he wasn't good enough.
Wasn't a ball player?
A ball player. And they bought over 40 million euros keeper. So their keepers were worth almost 70 million.
I am not in the business of people trying to tell me stories and fairy tales and all of these other things. Ask a point blank question. What has this City team done to change the game?
So can I come in? Can I come in?
Based on the way they've actually won the league, their dominance in the league, because this is like the Manchester United of the 90s.
Thank you.
No, they actually the Manchester United of the 90s.
But
can I come in?
If you are going
without
with
a
that,
because they have not won the Champions League.
Can I come in?
So no, you coming.
Okay.
So if you are going with Percy's logic,
Yeah.
Carragher didn't mention that Manchester United team.
Yeah.
But you are all agreeing that the dominance of this City team is like the Manchester United team of the 90s. It's like the dominance of the Manchester
United. They
also
had not won the Champions
League.
In the 90s.
It's like, does not mean it is.
Carragher, hold on, does not think that Manchester United team defined an era.
So can I come in now?
Defined an era. You see, you can decide to play with words. And you see, I think that all of this lies with subjectivity. All of this lies with a certain romance towards a certain cause, a certain romance towards a certain object of fantasy. And that is all Carragher is engaging
Manchester
in.
United.
No, I'm not even talking about Manchester United. This comment is highly opinionated.
Oh, for that is most comments are opinionated.
No, and for me to make
very polarized.
This comment, you must bring in some level of intellectualism.
Yeah.
This comment lacks any substance of intellectualism.
So can I come in?
You can come in.
So where I think that Carragher is making sense. The other part, I feel there's not so much let me use the word substance.
Why don't you want to use the word sense?
No, because I think it would be unfair to tell somebody at that, who has played a game to that level.
You just use the synonym. You
No,
not said
who has
anything
played a
different.
game to that level.
Which level?
And he wasn't that bad of a defender. Where I think that
Is he better than Brown? West Brown?
Oh, let's not go there. Charlie, you guys, the way you are hounding Carragher is not good. But where I think that, you see, Carragher makes a lot of, wisdom that we need to glean is the fact that, you see, this City team, yesterday, I was watching a Premier League documentary in terms of how the game was played by most teams in the Premier League, and post-Pep, how the game is played now. And they were using two analyses on how the game has evolved in terms of the involvement of goalkeepers in initiating play. Anybody can, it was on Sky Sports, anybody can go and check. The involvement of goalkeepers.
So that was
I'm coming.
So
the involvement of goalkeepers,
the
involvement of goalkeepers in the initiating of play. And based on the research and the analysis that was done, most of the goalkeepers, they get the ball, they will try and locate somebody. Boom, boom. But post-Pep, a lot of teams now want to start to play from the back with their goalkeepers. So they go out looking for keepers who are seemingly good with either the ball at their feet or distribution. One element they were looking at is David De Gea's distribution, especially when he came to Manchester United first. He can easily pick you out anywhere you are. True or false?
You continue.
Then they were looking at defenders and how defenders, modern day defenders in the Premier League, now love to play with the ball and love to move. And we're looking at one particular, something done at Newcastle. How good he is with Eddie Howe and his revolution post-Pep. So another thing that I agree with Percy, you see, now.
No, but on the defender's page,
Yeah.
I mean, have we always not said that Ferdinand was a Rolls Royce? Why did we allocate that?
I wanted him to actually finish.
But let me finish.
Let
me finish. I think that you can
1,001
you see,
defenders
you can
who play the ball from the back.
We can pick out one. We
Pep
can
Guardiola.
maybe what you are not getting. I'm saying that the documentary was looking at in terms of the influence on teams. I'm not saying that in those times they didn't have players who were good with the ball at their feet, but now it's become a norm that even bottom club teams are adopting that. So that's what the documentary. Do not attack me.
Is that what you're
That's the
telling us?
documentary they are doing.
Hold on. Watch into the camera and tell us they are doing that because of Pep Guardiola.
Oh, I would categorically tell you that
Lucky.
a lot of influence right now we're seeing is because of how the game is played under Pep Guardiola. Another thing
So
that
Pep Guardiola is the
Percy talks
reason why
about,
they are
another
doing
thing
the
that
things they are
Percy
doing.
talks about that I agree is the fact that, listen, I am yet to see in the era of the Premier League where you can get 97 points without winning the league. It's because of how in the last 5, 6, 7 seasons, Pep Guardiola has brought a certain high level of competition. Listen, Liverpool had 97 points, yet they did not win the Premier League because a team had 98 points. In the history of the Premier League, no team has been able to amass 100 points. Not even under the dominance of Jose Mourinho in Chelsea, not even under the dominance of Fergie. So when he talks about this City team, he's looking at the team over a whole, influence and the level of Percy goes there. Percy talks about competition. Would you agree that there's so much competition right now in the Premier League that if you do not get 90 plus points, you would let me use 95 plus points. Look at the league right now. 92 plus points will not win Arsenal the league, unless Arsenal gets 95 plus points before they can win the league. That should tell you that he's raised the level of competition, and that's where I agree with Percy. So again, listen, Carragher makes a lot of statements that are unguarded in Kofi's own words, but let's look at the import. That's what I'm saying. If they win the treble, I'll put them there. Percy says, why are we not putting Celtic? The reason why we are not putting Celtic is we are looking at the place Celtic plays. Celtic, they play in a Scottish league that has 9 or 10 teams. The only 12 teams. There are only 2 relevant teams in the Scottish league: Rangers and Celtic. Look at the Italian league.
Same as the La Liga.
Look at the Italian league. Trust me,
Relevant
they are
teams.
not.
Yeah, they are
Look
not
at what
relevant
Sevilla has been doing to Manchester United. Look at what Villarreal has been doing.
You are talking about the league.
Sevilla
Lucky,
is
please
struggling
wrap up.
for relegation. Oh, let me wrap up. So let me even bring that La Liga. There are 2 teams alone. Sevilla is struggling for relegation. What did they do to United? Now, what I'm saying is that
United beats the team on
what
top of the La Liga.
yes.
Per your own logic.
So what I'm saying is
United beat
that
Barcelona,
Celtic.
they
The
beat
reason why
Betis.
you yourself, you not even put Celtic in a category of great teams is because you are looking at the level of competition that we've spoken about in the English Premier League, the level of competition we've spoken about in the Italian Premier League, based on the analysis Jamie Carragher is making. That if you look at the time. So clearly, I will not bring Celtic because he's playing in the Scottish League with 12 teams,
Okay,
with just 2 teams.
it's okay. Let me also talk about mine. Let me just wrap up. First of all, you talked about I'm coming.
Don't bring my comment to stay.
I'm not talking about yours. No, we are talking. We are talking about the influence on the game.
Yeah.
You talked about goalkeepers hitting the ball and trying to do all of these things. This was an era, or this was a revolution that was started by Manuel Neuer. I'm coming.
I am not. I am only
coming.
saying.
I'm coming.
It's a documentary.
I am coming.
Uh-huh.
I am saying that Manuel Neuer
documentary.
is actually the person that is now been given that accolade. And I'm coming. It started with when he was at Schalke, 2010, 2011.
10 seconds. 10
Yes.
seconds.
You do.
10 seconds.
Like
10 seconds. So again, when you want to tackle a statement I made, I said
No, I wasn't tackling what you made.
I said in the Premier League, nobody is saying that. The documentary is saying
you
they are looking at
maligned me.
they
I allowed you
they
to
are
malign me today on
they are
this
looking
show.
at post.
You
They
made a
compared
direct quote to me.
pre-Pep Guardiola and post-Pep
I
Guardiola.
wasn't-
They are
direct
never
quotes
saying
to
that
you, no problem.
Manuel Neuer. They
No,
are attributing that to Manuel Neuer. So whether
I'm
Manuel
coming.
Neuer started it or not, it's
That is
relevant.
not what I'm talking.
Exactly.
You let me
This show
continue.
today,
Let me
I love
continue.
it.
You were
Exactly.
listen. I'm coming.
Producer says
what-
Masa.
Listen.
So don't even say
Listen, what I was saying was that goalkeepers holding on to the ball was a revolution that Manuel Neuer
that.
brought.
Pep Guardiola copied it from
I'm
Manuel
coming.
Neuer, I don't care.
Which spread throughout Europe. As to whether it was, I would never align to the fact that the Premier League teams decided to start this because Guardiola brought it to the league, because he came into the league in 2016. By 2014, Neuer had already established himself and had sent it all over. I'm coming. Now, you are talking about his influence, or this City team had brought an influence on the game. I know whenever we talk about influence, we are so much talking about an attack and goals, Do you know that pre-Mourinho, English Premiership was all cross and head?
Hit. So,
I'm coming.
agree.
I'm coming, Lucky. Then Wenger came. Then Wenger brought the beautiful football. Then Mourinho came with packing the bus.
So when you eliminate Johan Cruyff Barcelona, you can put that Mourinho bit there.
I'm coming, yes. But with this Celtic bit you were talking about, and you were saying that Celtic is just a 12-team league. I'm coming. There are a lot of teams who have won the Champions League, even once. I talked about even Feyenoord and all of these things.
Bucharest, those things. So nobody.
What is the Dutch league? If the Dutch, see, winning a treble, I'm surprised you were able to just dump. You think winning a treble has to do with just the team's number of or the number of teams in the league?
So Percy, honestly, would you honestly put the Celtic as a whole? Because you were saying Celtic as a whole.
No, you were talking about
a great team.
Listen, you
Would
said
you do that?
if you are talking about Manchester City, we are talking about the era of between 2012 and now. And you are saying that, I just asked you a question, that if Manchester City right now wins the treble, will you put them in one of the great eras? And you said yes.
Yes.
And I am also going to tell you that I will put Celtic in one of the great, because
Fine.
for everything that Benfica was, Benfica in the space of about 7 years had gone to Champions League 5 times, had won it twice.
I don't care whether you put Celtic in there or Manchester City.
And-
Be based on, we are not talking about Celtic. You see, Percy, the guy is making a statement based on City. Whether we put Celtic in there or not, that is not an issue. That's not the question. I believe and I agree. And you even agree that we put City in there.
I don't want you to debunk the fact that because Obini team, somebody's team is 12. It's
Fine,
12.
fine.
It means that
I think
I'll
that
put doing the treble.
I'll probably
You will
cut
not
you.
put
I
City
mean,
in
I will
there.
not put City in there.
But
I will not
you will
put-
put
I will
City
not
in
put
there.
City.
If they win the treble,
treble.
why not?
Let me tell you
It's
something.
it's a feat.
So we are on the same
Let me
tangent.
It's a
tell you
feat.
something, I'll put you City in.
Oh, where will you put City in?
If they do what?
But please, let's not talk about Carragher again.
No, we're not talking about Carragher. We're talking about Arsenal. You see, when Saliba, we're talking about Saliba.
Party after party.
you know that chant is very nice.
You know, I think that when the season is done, and Arsenal fails to win the league title, on a lighter note, I think they should be brought to market circle, allowed to sweep the whole market circle for 3 days. You understand? Because you do not waste everybody's time. You do not waste everybody's time. You do not raise hopes where there are none. Like people have said that Arsenal, even if they don't win the league, can consider their season to have been very successful. And I've been told that Arsenal have been top of the league for 30 plus weeks.
Yeah.
They've been top of the league for 30 plus weeks. And the last time they won the league was in 23-24.
Yeah.
And everybody says that, oh, okay, this Arsenal team will go on and redefine. They were champion overall. They had the hurdles. They were every pitfall you put before them. But I look at the manner at which their league title has capitulated. I look at the self-destruct buttons they have pressed. I look at where
Alt
they
control
are.
delete.
Yes, I mean, I look at where they are now. I think that, listen, let's not try to be charitable. We are not running an NGO here. Everybody plays the league to win the league, especially when they are in the position Arsenal has found itself to be over the last 30 weeks. So, if you're watching me and you think that we are here to play jokes or we are here to crack jokes and to think that, oh, okay, Arsenal being on top of the league would be considered.
They were testing the waters.
They were testing the waters and would be considered successful a season.
They should go and ask Newcastle.
I think that would be flirting enormously with mediocrity. Arsenal, if they bottle the league from where they have been and what they have been through, and listen, they told us that they went out of Europe because they wanted to concentrate on the league.
Who said that?
They told us that they went out of the. No, I'll get you quote. You understand? They told us that they went out
Anonymous
of that. That is popular wisdom on the street.
Anonymous
they told us that they went out of the FA Cup, they went out of the Carabao Cup, they went out of the Europa League because
they were shedding weight.
The street is talking
on the league. You go out of all of these tournaments, and genuinely, you go out of tournaments you could probably have won.
You remember some weeks back, I told them that they have the option of the league and the Europa.
I actually posed that question
and
to
I
that
said,
if Arsenal had the option
and
of
I
winning,
said
which one would you prefer?
Europa is easier to
chose
win.
That they should focus on the Europa.
Focus on Europa. Because those of us in Europa,
I think we need to get that video again and
I said
cut
it.
that portion and put it on our YouTube
focus
page.
on Europa. At least for Europa, you know that these teams, most of them are concentrated on their league. Probably the only team that actually wanted to win the league to service on is Juventus, because they had been deducted.
What are you saying?
I am saying that let's not flirt with mediocrity. Arsenal bottles the league. They are the biggest failure of the 21st century.
Ouch, that's too harsh.
Arsenal bottles this league.
Please look into the camera.
They are the biggest joke. And you see, anybody who thought Arsenal was serious,
they are the biggest joke
about winning the league, I'm sorry to say, but I'll probably put you part of the joke. I mean, if you ever thought Arsenal
someone's hair is at stake.
we're not flirting with jokes. And I'm sorry, but I can be this candid. I think that if you considered Arsenal's title challenge a serious one, then please, I mean, with all due respect, you're also part of the joke.
Okay, so Kofi, this is where you know my stance on this. This is where I mean, because of time, let's do it this quick. This is where I disagree with you. Point one, every team goes into a league with caveats. KPIs. Every team goes into a league with what they want to achieve. So it is not necessarily true that every team starts the league wanting to win it. So certain teams start the league, they are hoping that we'll make the Champions League, we are good to go. Certain teams start the league, we want to be safe from relegation. They are good to go. Certain teams start the league, we want to do A, B, C, D. Certain teams also start the league, we want to win it all. Now, I look at this Arsenal team, and since the appointment of Arteta, I've tried to follow his relationship with Edu very much. They outlined a 5-year project when the likes of, when their former sporting manager left. Gazidis, when he left, they outlined a 5-year project in terms of how to grow the game. There was a reason why there were certain players they decided to let go. There's a reason why they adopted a certain level of playing. There's a reason why I actually handpicked Arteta, because the entire staff, the boardroom, were actually against the appointment of Arteta. Last year, there were serious conversation going on in terms of the sacking of Arteta. Edu has stood behind the guy because he feels that let us end this 5-year project and see. Sacking the man will not do.
Can you share with us the 5-year project?
I do not know the intricacies. I do not know the intricacies. Yes, but I do not know the intricacies.
What will be the crowning moment of this 5-year project?
Obviously, a team like Arsenal that have not won the league in God knows 20 years, the crowning moment will be they winning.
So can you share the 5-year project with us?
I do not have the details of it. All I know is that these are the plans of Edu. Now, for a team like Arsenal, they're in the 3rd year of it.
So in the next 2 years, you're telling us that the crowning moment will be them winning the league.
If they do not win it after, you do not set it. We sat here and said PSG set a target for themselves and they've not been able to do it. They are failures. So obviously, if they do not win it, they failed it. Now, don't derail my thought. But what I'm saying here is that they are on a project. Arsenal in their 3rd season of that project. Listen, this Arsenal team, nobody on planet Earth will tell me that Arsenal starting this season had it at the back of their mind that we want to win the league. I do not think so. I do not know, and I will not sit here and say categorically that I know. But I'm saying, based on at least what I've seen in terms of the growth of the team, even if you ask Arteta post they losing to Manchester City, said in an interview that this team is still a young team and we are growing. We will get to the stage of Manchester City when we get to the stage of maturity. These were his words. So obviously he's looking at this team as this team is peaking. Nobody knows whether they will be able to peak and win the league or not. That I cannot tell. But if Arsenal loses this league, I think that they have overachieved, because I do not think that they set out a target to win the league. Yes, they may have found themselves at the top of the league table, which when you find yourself there, you need to do everything to win it. But that is an added bonus. It's like a worker. You are given a target at the end of the year. If you surpass the target, what they do is that they reward you with a bonus. So if Arsenal will find themselves at the top of the league.
Hold on. Can I help you with a particular article?
Which of them?
Written on the 7th of April 2023.
Which of the articles?
Yes, let me. Mikel Arteta.
Okay.
My Arsenal players fully believe we can win the Premier League title. This was the 7th of April 2023.
So
this is Mikel Arteta.
See,
hold on. This is Mikel Arteta.
How?
My Arsenal players fully believe
Obviously
we can win the Premier League title. That is just for a bit of education.
A bit of education. He
so
says that they believe they can win it.
Yes.
That does not mean that is their target. The two statements are different.
I don't get you.
No, Kofi, I believe that I can what is it called? Climb this building to the top. But my target is get to the middle. But I surely believe that I can climb to the top. The two are not the same. I have set out a target for myself that I want to get to the middle of this building.
When Leicester won the league, in the season they won the league.
Do you think Leicester sets out to win the league?
Yes. Did they set out to win the league? When they found themselves in the position they found themselves, did they realign their vision?
Yes, that is where I think that you should ask yourself that have Arsenal realigned their vision that now we are going to win the league?
Because as much as I agree with you on the fact that some teams do not set out to win the league. Listen, when you play yourself into a position of strength, you are supposed to reinforce and bring it home.
I think that is not an emphatic. It's very subjective.
No,
because listen, I'm in a race.
Because listen,
I'm in a race.
Started the league not wanting to win the league. But 30 games into the league, they realize that, listen, Jack, where we are, we can win it.
So let's go ahead.
Let's go ahead. 30 games into the league.
Yeah.
Arteta comes out to tell the whole world
that they can win
his
it.
players fully believe that they can win the league title. It means that in that dressing room, there is the firmest of belief that where they are now, they have played themselves into a position of strength.
Let
me win the league title.
I'm surprised. I
know where you stand.
Have you listen? Listen. Arsenal is not Newcastle. If Newcastle goes and buys Alexander Isak for that amount, the last time Newcastle played in the Champions League is over 20 years ago. So if they buy Alexander Isak, they buy Callum Wilson, and they buy Bruno Guimaraes, all in the name of they want to play in the top 4, it's understandable.
But not Arsenal.
How much did they buy Partey? How much did they buy Gabriel Jesus? How much did they buy William Saliba? How much did they buy Alexander? You are making it look like when Arsenal started the season, they didn't even spend Alexander Zinchenko, Gabriel Jesus, William Saliba, Gabriel Maguire. I'm coming.
320 million pounds in the last, as in the year, the calendar year.
A team spends 300 and you tell me
they cannot win
a team that has won the league. Has won the league 13 times.
So Chelsea spending almost 600.
We are not talking about Chelsea.
Their intention to win the league?
Listen. You think
so? Spending necessarily is not it. Would you agree?
Chelsea has won the league.
Arsenal is Premier League royalty.
Listen, Chelsea in the
Premier League,
Chelsea, of course.
No, 6 league trophies.
Listen to me. Listen to me. In the last 6 seasons,
yes,
Chelsea has won the league before.
Yes, so I'm
coming. Chelsea has won the league before.
Yes,
it's Chelsea is spending and thinks or they believe they can win the league. Why would you tell me that Arsenal also spends 300 million? No, I'm coming.
You're asking me a question. Let me answer. My question is, Chelsea are not spending. Chelsea have not told us that they're spending almost 600 million pounds. On all those, some of the players they don't even play them. They are not telling us that they are buying those players to win the league. So if you go on the caveat that Arsenal are spending to win the league, I think that you'll be doing a lot of Chelsea because Chelsea have spent more and yet clearly their target is not to win the league.
The situation Chelsea find themselves in and the situation Arsenal find themselves in are two different
things. Did they not start the league?
I'm coming.
They did not start the league the same time.
Please. Chelsea's situation. Chelsea are coming up from a takeover. That is one. I'm coming. They are coming up from a takeover. That is one. They are also coming out from now. It is an unstable team. And we know how Chelsea do that. You are just here and you told me that Arsenal have set a 5-year program of which you are not even aware whether the 5th year is a Champions League that they want to win. You are not even probably aware.
But I'm not
aware
they
want to win the league on the 3rd year.
Listen. Now, this team you are saying that they are not expecting to win the league within this time and they are just trying to, like I said, if you check the Premier League log or the Premier League number of titles, they are the 3rd on it.
Yeah.
They are a team that has spent over 300 million. They are a team that within the past 5 years have been able to amass 3 FA Cups. Why would you think that in 3 years they wouldn't want to win the league? How many
years? Is it
a
rhetorical question, or should I answer?
How many years should it take a team that has won the FA Cup in the last 5 years, have won 3 times? How many years do you think it should take them to be able to win the league?
This is where I think that we should look at the conversation, put it in context. You need to look at you may have won the FA Cup, you may have won this, but you need to look at the strength of your team. Now, I'm coming.
Strength again. You brought in Gabriel Jesus.
You asked the question. You
now, brought in
the strength of the team, and you juxtapose that to the strength of the people you're competing with.
No.
Leicester the best.
They were never. You don't do that. You build your team again, not necessarily trying to think about.
Guys, I think that this conversation would have to continue tomorrow. Let me take some comments on our YouTube channel. Yeah, then we conclude
we are streaming live on Tardy 99.1 FM.
Exactly. So like Kofi said, we are streaming live on Tardy FM 99.1, and we are shooting from Noble House Restaurant, an amazing place. If you want your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, listen, they can serve you the best of everything. Just come with the family, enjoy the scenery, and trust me, you will love it. So let me take some comments that have come from our live chat session. And so making top four. Let me start from the bottom. So Arsenal fans were so loud and vociferous right from the beginning of the season until they bottled the Premier League after the 4-1 defeat to Chelsea. Their fans are now saying it's on God. I think that let's not let's not look at what the fans are saying. Because
the club.
Oh no,
What are you saying?
because the fans don't set target quickly.
On God.
Time is even up. Why are they buying if they do not want to win the league? If they don't want to win the league, what they've done nothing. Kofi said, "You believing you can. That does not mean you will." That's very true. Marshall says on point. Making top four in the league is not an achievement for most serious teams. It is for Arsenal. Hey, Manchester United making top four there. You guys have not achieved anything. Arsenal have been utterly naive. They lack mentality. Arsenal will not win the league. They've wasted fans' time. Kofi.
They've wasted Asu's time.
What if City goes trophyless? So in relation to Carragher's statement, I blame Arsenal for all this noise. City winning Champions League there. What's special about it? Carragher doesn't like United. Like he says, we shouldn't say it. See the list he gave without United. So lots of comments coming in there. But guys, thank you so much. Today's show has been interesting. Thank you for being with us from the time we started, 8:30 to 10 o'clock. These are the kind of conversations we bring you every Saturday morning. Listen, we do intellectual conversation. We talk about controversial issues. We get you engaged every Saturday morning from 8:30 to 10, Kofi. So next week, they should catch us live. We'll be here. Yeah.
And very soon we'll introduce another bit.
Yeah. So tomorrow they should join us from 7 o'clock to 9. You don't want to miss tomorrow's show. We'll do a continuation of this.
From the Lakers dominating.
Leave us with your Lakers. Leave us with your Lakers. So guys, we say thank you very much and have a very, very good morning. Tomorrow, 7 to 9 p.m. Catch us Sports Roundup.